They want the right to use people's graffiti art and murals without having to necessarily accredit the artist or give them any compensation.
No.
That's what they're fighting for right now.
No.
So that means that the Biggie murals, the Tupac images,
they can make profit off of that without giving the artists their respect. No.
Exactly. What you think about that?
It's horrible.
That's some culture vulture shit right there, right?
It's definitely doing that.
That's a whole fact.
The whole fashion industry has been doing that for the longest. I mean, same thing about for a long time they've been downplaying do-rags, things like that. But then next thing you know, a year later they popping up at high-end fashion shows, New York Fashion Weekly and things like that.
Hey,
so it's definitely been culture vulture.
I went to H&M 2 weeks ago to take a look at the merchandise, and one of the shirts said, "Rep your hood" or "Love your hood."
Okay.
And I said, this is interesting.
It's funny because they're so afraid of the hood and the ghettos and all that, but now they can
profit off of it. You feel what I'm saying?
Anytime they can make $1 off the black culture, I mean, of course they're gonna take advantage of it. So.
Word. So now, on another note, you know, we say that we're the offspring of Mother Earth and the Heavenly Father, so to speak. But it's figurative. Where do you stand in terms of God? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus is going to come save us? What's your disposition?
I believe all that was introduced to us on the mainland. Like I remember at one point, we was hopping around the fire and all that, and they were saying that we were savages.
Facts.
So, I mean, you can't really say, I'm not going to say like, based off of somebody that was introduced to us, making somebody force beliefs onto my own beliefs. So, I grew up in a family. My father's Muslim, my mom's Christian, so I'm straight down the line.
I grew up similar.
I believe there's higher ups, but I don't go to the point where, it just kind of I'm caught in this loophole of, like I'm only stuck on this focus. So I just really there's something up there. You know what I mean? Look at this galaxy, if there's this many solar systems and things like that, we ain't the only ones out here either.
Oh yeah, I already know.
So
you got a solid perspective. You say you from Wisconsin?
Yeah, from Milwaukee. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's clear we waking up. How old are you, my brother?
I'm 26, man. Yeah, I'm out here with
again, man.
I'm out here with Copyright Magazine.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give them the shout out, man. We got hundreds of thousands of people right here waiting to hear you.
Yeah. So
tell us more about this.
So I'm out here.
How long has Copyright Magazine been around?
It's been what? 5 years.
5 years.
And this is my cousin. She's the owner of it.
How you doing, sister? Great to meet you. How you doing, my brother?
This is our man right here.
All right, cool.
So we just out here. We out here for the culture.
Man, you can tell us more. Is it a virtual magazine or do you got hard copy publications?
We got hard copies. We got virtual. It's almost everywhere. So I got cards on me right here too. So
that's what's up, man. Let's get those.
So
what's up, gang? Yeah, we chilling, man. We out here just building, getting our build on. What's up? Chilling, man. Hey, thanks for listening, my brother. I appreciate you, yo. What's up, man? We having a conversation about God. Yeah, you keep that recording. I can ask y'all some questions out there. Yeah, so what we want to know, right, is are we still sitting here believing in... The main question is this. Let's ask this question. What was the African worshiping or praying to before we was introduced to Jesus? And a real good premise about this, right, would be the Black Panther movie. Think about it. Throughout the whole course of the Black Panther movie, did anybody call on Jesus? I thought that was pretty interesting. We didn't see that. Because I was waiting for the Jesus card. I didn't see him on the walls. What I did see is us reverence our ancestors. But I said, where's Jesus? I know Jesus is going to come save them in Wakanda at one point or the other, right? So I thought that was pretty dope that we didn't see Jesus come save them in Wakanda. So that speaks to a greater narrative. And the narrative that speaks to is this. What exactly was the African worshiping or believing in prior to colonialism? And just to debrief us, we know about the 400 plus years of servitude in America. But a lot of us have not been debriefed about the Arab slave trade, which took place far longer. When you look up the Arab slave trade, that took place for over 1,400 years. Okay? Where they made us eunuchs, where they double castrated us. And that's why to this day, you'll see a lot of people in the so-called Middle East and a lot of people in Africa, they have Negroid features or Nubian features. But what happens at the end of the day, they're actually mulattoes. I don't want to say mutt to disrespect anybody, but the reality is this. They double castrated us. And for those of us that don't know what double castration is, double castration is when they cut your penis off and your balls. And what they did is we suffered the fate of our women being raped by the Arab slave masters while we couldn't produce ourselves as black men. So you wind up having a tumbling forth of genes where you see very similar features in even Arab-speaking countries or Arab-dominant countries. You look at them and you say, oh man, I see big noses or I see curly hair, but that happened over 1,000+ years of time through double castration. And we had to walk through the desert. Now, these are not no myths. These are not no stories. It's called the Trans-Sub-Saharan Slave Trade. That's what it's called. All right? It's the Trans-Sub-Saharan Slave Trade.
You need to get to your Wi-Fi. I'm going to put you on my internet.
All right. Just go to the top like that. It's the Trans-Sub-Saharan Slave Trade. And in the Trans-Sub-Saharan Slave Trade, what happens is we was under Arab control, enslaved just like we learned from white folks out here, but for 1,400 years. So just figure this out. The white man comes, studies the business model of slavery from the Arab. And to keep it 100, we also had blacks selling us into slavery as well. Just to keep it official with you. Because black tribes was fighting amongst each other as well. And what the black tribes would do when they had prisoners of war would be to sell us over to Arab slave masters. What the white man did was become a better slave master than the Arab or the brother. So what would wind up happening is he perfected the system where slaves were like not even looking to be free. They was looking to just have a better slave master. So a lot of us willingly went under the auspice of European slavery because we thought that they were less cruel and less harsh. So now we wind up doing another 400 years on top of the 1,400 that we had to do in Africa. And the sad thing about it is we don't talk about the African diaspora much. Africans of the continent, we don't talk about that system of slavery out there, because we also have to point a finger at ourselves to keep it 100. But on top of that, we'll have to say, man, a lot of this was learned behavior from the white man. And now when you study why we say we're the offspring of Mother Nature and the Heavenly Father, it's because we're connected with the universe. We're connected with the planet. So even now when you watch where the slave ships had to travel to take us across the world into America, to this very day, that is the same path of your hurricanes. To this very day. If you study the weather patterns when it comes to hurricanes and devastating weather, it follows the same route as the slave ships to this very day. It's not even a lie. You can look it up. If you look up the slave ship route and then you look up the hurricane route, you'll find, my deduction is that is the spirit of our ancestors who was thrown over water and brought across the waters forcibly from one place to the next. I don't think it's a coincidence. And that's why they work very hard to destroy our hip-hop music. Why do they work hard to destroy our hip-hop music? Because in that music, despite some of the themes that we don't support, there's a lack of fear for the system. All right? There's a lack of fear for the system. Understand this. Why did they have to oppress Haiti? They oppressed Haiti because they said to themselves, these people believe more in their spirituality than they believe in a compromise for death. Anytime people are not afraid to die, that's a dangerous group of people. You feel what I'm saying? Anytime people are not afraid to die, those are the type of people that you gotta alienate. Those are the type of people you gotta incarcerate. Those are the type of people that you gotta overwhelm or oppress. Anytime people confide more in their spirituality, more than they confide in the government, those people are a threat world over. So that's why they went through thick and thin to oppress nations like Haiti. Because they understand that those people couldn't be swayed by a gun. Because those people said, we got a higher power invested in us. And yet today, it's a lot of amalgamation of Christian themes in there, granted. But we know in its authenticity, in its pristine state, it's all African culture at the end of the day. And that's why the elephant in the room is, what was the African worshiping, studying, and praying prior to the introduction of a Jesus Christ? And that's why I referenced the Black Panther, since it's so relevant and so exciting, because nowhere in the Black Panther movie do you see anyone call on Jesus Christ. In fact, what is the Black Panther's superpower? The Black Panther's superpower is the ability to connect with his ancestors. That's his superpower. The ability to get insight. Now, this is called clairvoyance. The ability to get insight from your ancestors. The ability to receive revelations from your ancestors and use it in the physical realm to empower you or your people. That's the Black Panther's not only superpower, but it is also our superpower present day. And we lost our superpower the second they disconnected us from our ancestors. And that's why we say the offspring of Mother Earth and the Heavenly Father. Because we're connected to the cosmos, the universe, and we're connected to planet Earth. That's why we say that. So we got to tap back into it consciously, because physically we're already connected to it. Like I said in a previous conversation, you have the 12 tectonic plates that's on planet Earth and a 600-mile sun in the center. You also have the 12 houses of the zodiac, and then you have the sun in the center. You also have the pineal gland, and you have 12 cranial nerves in the center. Anytime there's a shift or an event that takes place in the cosmos, there's a corresponding house of the zodiac that corresponds with the cranial nerve, that corresponds with a tectonic plate on planet Earth. You're supposed to be sensitive enough to know when you should leave from an environment, when it's the right time to make children, when it's the right time to go to sleep. It's called a circadian rhythm. There's different hours out the day where your heart is more stronger than other hours out the day. At 10:30 is when the cells in your body to say, you know what? We're going to shut down. At 12:30, at 10:30, the cells in your body say, we're not digesting no more food. But your chicken spots are open till 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and that is part of the warfare. How do you know that this is part of the warfare? How do you know this? It's part of the warfare because they know that your body stops breaking down food at 10:30 p.m., according to your circadian rhythm. That is your body's natural biological clock, your circadian rhythm. So where does the food get stored after you eat after 10:30? The food gets stored after you eat at 10:30. Where? In your colon. So now your colon is filled with a bunch of excess food because your cells say, I'm not going to get back up to go to work until 9:30 a.m. Now, we may think holistic health is a joke, but it's one of the biggest forms of warfare that's been used to destroy our people. Feeding us garbage. What's up, gang? Feeding our people garbage and feeding us this garbage at the wrong hours. Like, let's look at milk. Let's talk about milk again. As they say, it does the body good. But milk is allowed to have 750,000 somatic cells, which is a euphemism for pus. It's also allowed to have 24,000 live bacteria before the Food and Drug Administration takes it off the shelf. And it's also pasteurized, a process in which they use radiation to prolong the shelf life of the milk. But this is what they tell us does our body good. But we know over 70% of who they call African Americans cannot digest it right. And rightfully so. But what it does is make me question everybody else. Because if we as so-called humans, as black humans, have a problem digesting milk, how come it's easier for everybody else to digest it? It's just questions. That's all I'm saying. But we wind up learning later on that white rice, white salt, white sugar, white flour is no good. I didn't say white people. That's an inference you can make. I'm just telling you, all these different foods seem to be acidic or they produce mucus. But they tell us we're creating a food pyramid, right? They never built the pyramid a day in their life, but they give you a food pyramid and they tell you to eat eggs, milk, and cheese. Now, many of you believe in Jesus Christ, right? Who believes in Jesus Christ? You raise your hand. All right, we got some. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, homie. So now, let's ask the homie something. Do you think Mary went to the supermarket to get some Similac for baby Jesus? Of course not. If Jesus existed, right? Do you think Mary fed the Messiah off of goats, off a cow's nipple? Or would Mary feed the Messiah from her own nipple? Now what we got to do is ask, what is exactly in breast milk that makes a differentiation from cow's milk? When you look up breast milk, you find out in the first 3 months specifically, there's colostrum fluid, a yellow liquidy fluid in the breast milk. And what it does is enhances your immune system, your ability to socialize, and it raises your IQ. So what happens when we feed our children cow's milk versus the black woman's breast milk? The cow's milk is not designed to cater to you specifically. The black woman's milk is designed to cater to you specifically. So the cow's milk is not going to raise your IQ, raise your digestion, or even enhance your ability to communicate with other people. We cannot rely on cows, people, to feed our children. We cannot rely on cows to feed our children. A lot of you say that you got sickle cell anemia and all this other stuff. But what is the number one reason why we have anemia problems? The number one reason we have problems with anemia because we're not taking in the right amount of iron. But that's a half truth. What is the iron that we're actually supposed to take in? Iron fluorine. Not iron from meat. Iron fluorine. So you see, when we deal with these situations, like for instance, when a woman doesn't breastfeed, she maintains all the weight that she gained during pregnancy. A lot of women be like, I don't want to breastfeed because it hurts her nipples. But let's think about it. Actually, if she breastfeeds, whenever the child pulls on her nipple, what happens is she winds up losing weight. Nature set it up in such a way that if you breastfeed, you lose the excess weight from breastfeeding, one, and two, it causes the uterus of the woman to shift back into its original position. What caused the uterus to shift when she was giving birth? The child switching poles to be born. It caused the uterus to shift. Why is that important? Because if a woman doesn't breastfeed, the pulling of the nipple through breastfeeding that shifts the uterus back into its original place will keep the uterus out of alignment if she doesn't breastfeed. You say, why do we care? Because if a woman doesn't breastfeed, it brings about a biological earthquake. What do we mean? If a uterus is out of orbit or is no longer in alignment with her spinal column and the rest of her physiology, she's going to wind up suffering from different forms of psychosis. She's going to wind up being unstable emotionally because her uterus is not in alignment with the rest of her body. So the way nature set it up is if she should breastfeed, her uterus will go right back into position. Another thing that we got to understand is when her uterus is no longer in alignment, she winds up getting webs at the arc of her foot. Mother Nature set it up in such a way that you don't need to go to the doctor to tell what's wrong. Mother Nature set it up in such a way that you can look on somebody's body and you can tell what's wrong. Like if a person has darker cheeks than the rest of their face, I can tell you that that person has diabetes. If a person has a long line going down their tongue, I can tell you that they're suffering from cirrhosis of the liver. If a woman has webs at the arc of her foot, then I can tell you that her uterus is out of alignment, she has back pains, and she suffers from migraines every time she's on a cycle. These are all facts. The human body actually tells us what's wrong with us. But they got us going to medical institutions that never promised us a cure. They always promised us treatment. They never promised us a cure. They promised us treatment. So now we got to say to ourselves, we got to really think. Even your eyes are connected to your brain. So just like you take a test and you see red markings when you get something wrong, same thing with your eyes. When something's not right, your brain communicates by way of your eyes and leaves messages all through your eyes. So I can tell you have small intestine or intestinal problems if you got a gray dot at the 12 to 3 o'clock area of your eyes. We were able to do this in our culture, so before someone got ill, we were able to predict what may transpire and actualize what is transpiring. Because the dark parts of your